Great complete game by your team today. Offense, defense, special teams all played well.
I thought they did. We certainly have to clean up the penalty aspect of things, but no, I thought our effort was outstanding on in all three phases. There's still a lot of work. I mean, we got a lot of football left in this season, but real proud of their effort, and that's something that they control, and we'll go back to work on Monday.
Your defense was very smothering today against Tennessee Tech, not letting Trey Lamb do much, shutting down the run, really shutting down that offense in the first half, and again, the pressure on the quarterback is a key anytime.
It is, and when we can generate a pass rush without really blitzing, I think it bodes well because it allows us to stay in coverage. And once we got settled down after the first drive, that's what we did. And that's a tough group. We go against them every day in practice. It's a tough group. So.
And it was first quarter through fourth quarter. I know that was one of the things you talk about, the effort, and the effort's always there. But that complete game, I know the guys got to feel good about themselves in the locker room.
They do, but it's still one game, and we just got to come back to work on Monday and get ready to play our next one.
Offensively, you guys opened up throwing the ball and almost looked like it caught Tennessee Tech off guard a little bit, but just took advantage of some things you saw.
Yeah, people starting, and they do a good job defensively and kind of force you to play really left-handed, as so to speak. Is if you run the ball real well, they're going to force you to, make it real tough and difficult. Stick 8-9 guys down in there, and to do that, we need to loosen them up a little bit. But I think Marcus did a nice job, getting the ball around the field a little bit, and got a lot of different receivers involved in it. And we got to be a balanced team if we're going to be successful. So.
And balanced team is exactly what you guys were. 328 through the air, 324 on the ground. That's the balance you're looking for.
Yeah, we'll take it. And we can build upon it. And that's a good thing. That's what I told the guys in the locker room.
So you get to this point, 3-0 in the season, and enter the Pac-12 conference next week with Arizona coming to town. And Coach, Arizona looks to be much improved, playing some really good football under Rich Rod right now.
Yeah, we haven't seen them, so I got nothing to say about Arizona. We'll watch them tomorrow.
Arizona has a big game tonight, but the Pac-12 conference starts. Does the preparation any different at all from one team to another?
No, it's the same. We were on the same schedule every week. Our Monday's the same, our Tuesday's the same. The only thing that changes is our opponents, but we have the same approach in terms of how we're getting ready and how we're going to prepare.
All right, Coach. Well, excellent game from beginning to end. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week after Arizona.
Thanks, Jordy.
All right, Jared, back up to you.
All right, guys, we'll go ahead and take questions for Coach Kelly. Please wait for the mic. Raise your hands. Here we go.
Some of the penalties, a couple of late hits, things like that. You mentioned the efforts there. I mean, it seems like penalties of aggression, but obviously something you feel like you have to clean up.
Yeah, I mean, some of them, you can say it's a penalty of aggression, but if a guy's 5 yards out of bounds, there's big white lines on the field. I can see them, so, guys not telling me that they don't know where it is. It's just, understanding how to play the game and do it the right way. And we call them SIW, self-inflicted wounds, but, they let drives get extended, and we got to do a better job of that. We had a couple too many illegal procedure penalties, guys jumping up front, just the little things. But we need to clean those things up. You're not going to survive with 12 penalties against anybody that's coming up on our schedule. So.
Coach Marcus got caught for a sack, and when he was on your side of the field, he was caught in the backfield where you turn the ball over on down. So
I don't have an answer for you on that. I'll tell you Monday.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Just picking up on what Rob said and you said about a great effort, but penalties, also some uncharacteristic turnovers for you guys. Concern going forward with that?
Yeah, it's always a concern, Ken. It just really, a lot of times it just depends on where you are. And I've said this before, but Winston Churchill said the problems of victory are a lot more agreeable than the problems of defeat, but they're no less difficult. So you feel better because you won 63-14, but when we turn the ball over, we're not supposed to do that. And when we get penalties, we're not supposed to do that. And, unfortunately, it didn't come back to rear its ugly head and hurt us today, but there's certainly things we got to clear up. There were some, just some of those turnovers, you just kind of shake your head, but we need to coach that better as coaches and make sure we don't put ourselves in those situations. And I thought our defense really responded well when we did turn the ball over, but we can't rely on that every time, and we got to capitalize, especially when they create some situations for us.
Warren.
Chip, pretty uncharacteristic, all those penalties for your squad. Overall, though, how would you characterize the effort from beginning to end?
I thought our effort was, I really liked it. You could feel the energy on the sideline, and that part, I was happy with. So.
kind of follow up on that, or do you feel like your guys made a better overall effort, closer to a 60-minute game this time around?
Compared to where we were before, yeah, I think so. But we gotta, again, you're never as good as you think you are when you watch tape, and you're never as bad as you think you are. So it's about really getting into a rhythm and doing the same things we always do. We all make mistakes. We all got to watch the film tomorrow as a staff, and then start with our players on Monday and make corrections as we move forward. And the big thing is not trying to make the same mistakes twice. Let's correct that. But you got to play the game to get in those situations and to see how things express themselves. And then when you got it on film, then you can kind of coach it up and say, hey, this is what we did wrong on this play, and this is how we correct it, and then see how we work that out in terms of our game plan as we get ready for our next opponent, and then really kind of go from there. But there's a lot to teach off of from this game. But again, it's always a lot easier to teach when you're winning than it is when you're losing. So,
Coach, Byron Marshall came in and had a pretty strong game on the ground. What does it mean to have a guy like him third on your depth chart?
It helps. Byron's a true freshman. He's a kid. Is a prime example that played a lot better, I thought, tonight than he did in the opening game. In the opening game, he was a little hesitant, and then today, and he's really shown that in practice since September 1st, of really trying to hit the hole and get north and south. And you're going to need him. We're going to need him to play this season. You need to have some depth at the running back spot, especially in this league. So really, I was encouraged, and he's a guy that I saw it after the first game. He made some mistakes. It was the first time he ever played in a college football game, against Arkansas State. But then you watched him get better during the week in practice, and really how Byron practices, how he played today. And I think that's going to pay dividends for us.
Colt's been your starter. I think there were 3 tight ends who played on offense before Colt. Did he struggle with it?
Colts hasn't been our starter, so. We rotate 4 kids. If you looked at our depth chart, we've had 4 tight ends, and they're all going to play. So we rotate everybody in. Who actually plays the first snap of the game, Oz just tells them who's going to do that. So we're rolling guys in there and making sure, we got to develop depth at that position. But, that's really where we are. I think we listed when we started our depth chart 4 guys and said, you got to put somebody on the first day who took the first snap in the first game. But there's a lot of guys that are going to play tight end for us, and we need those guys to develop. And that whole position, I think, is a work in progress. But I'm pleased that we got 4 guys at that spot.
Marcus completed 12 passes to 12 different receivers. How important is spreading the ball to the function?
It's really tells me where he is in decision making, is that he's not going to force it just to one guy and try to rely on one guy. And a lot of times they take away different options for him. So he's got to go through his progressions. And I think you saw him do that today. And I think that's part of our successes. When we can spread the ball out evenly between our guys, is you can't just zero in and say, hey, if they're throwing it, you got to shut down this guy. It's when we have an opportunity to get the ball out and to get it to different guys and get a lot of different people involved, we make the other defense defend the whole field. So, again, it shows what a good grasp I think he has of what we're doing. But he knows he can still play better. And I think all of us, we can coach better. We can throw the ball better. We can catch the ball a little bit better. We can play defense better. We're still a group that's a work in progress, but I think it's going in the right direction. So.
Chip, you think DeAnthony learned something on that play where he got caught from behind, and will you kind of go over that with him?
Yeah, we talked to him about it, but I just basic football. If Jake Fisher, our right tackle, beats you to the end zone, I don't think you're running full speed. So.
And then with kind of following up on that, what does it say about Fisher that he was able to catch up to that play and to be right there on the ball and keeping pace with somebody as fast as DeAnthony? Yeah, well, I'd caution on the keep pace part, but I would say it says a lot about Jake, and that's when I talk about effort. When you get a guy fumbling the football, 60 yards downfield, and your right tackle's there to recover it for a touchdown, I think it says a lot about Jake, and it says a lot about the effort that we're trying to coach. And that's what we want our guys to do. We want to finish, and that's something that we kind of pride ourselves on. And that's an example of maybe on the same play from a teachable moment, maybe of our running back not finishing, but our right tackle finishing. So,
Coach, Dion Jordan really had a great game today. What did you see from him being on the field level? Was he doing anything different today from what he does normally?
Nah, I think Dion has really developed into a special player, and where he's come from 5 years ago when he was a wide receiver in this program to now being a dominant defensive player, I think, in the country. And the one thing I see out of Dion is what I see out of him in practice every day. That's how he practices. That's kind of what you get on Saturdays is what we get Monday through Friday, and that's the best form of leadership we have. And Dion's one of our real top leaders right now because of how he approaches practices every day and how he approaches a game every day.
Coach, are there any key positive things that you'll share with us that you think you've learned about this team in the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, well, the same way. Until we look at the film, I mean, there's always, you watch a film and you're like, wow, I didn't think that sometimes. And like I said, I've been in games and you're like, wow, we played really well. Then you turn the tape on and you're like, wow, we're not as good as we
The
thought.
whole 3 week.
I just think over the last 3 weeks, I think our effort's gotten better. I think, our guys are starting to learn. They're starting to emerge. I don't see us making the same mistakes twice. Some mistakes that I think I saw that in certain situations that were made in the Arkansas State game. And then I think we improved, played obviously a different opponent in the Fresno game, from a schematic standpoint and I think from a talent standpoint. And then, but mistakes that we tried to talk about as a staff that we need to do better on, we need to finish. We need to come out with, an understanding of how we got to play and what our tempo is and setting the tone and all that. I think that's improved, but it's always going to be a work in progress for us. And again, I think if we control our preparation, we control our attitude and our effort, that's the big three things that we talk about all the time. How the game plays itself out, that's, I think for all of us, that's the fun part because you really don't know. And it's not like you were in the locker room, but I think it's good to be in the locker room when we were today because we looked at it as, hey, these guys are playing, and I'll give them credit. That football team, the one thing that I admired about them is from snap to the end of the game, that team competed, and they came in here and for them, I think it was an opportunity to come play in a big stadium, but it wasn't. I don't think they were overwhelmed by it, and you can tell by their opening drive running down the field, and I told Watson that after the game. I'm really kind of proud of how his team played, and they competed. So it was a good test for our guys, but we got to kind of wash it away, enjoy it for a day, and then we got to come back to work on Monday. So.
Guys, I have Helfrich and Byron Marshall in the other room. We'll
Yeah.
take one more question for Coach. Anybody?
You kind of touched on it briefly. Tempo for you guys. Are you happy with where it is? Do you think you go a bit faster, particularly between snaps?
It depends on who we're playing and what we got called. We have different tempos that we play at, and it depends really just on our opponent, what we want to get done, how we want to get it done. So, sometimes not playing as fast is part of our plan. So, I don't think everybody truly understands that. We're not going to snap every ball with, 39 seconds on the play clock. There's times where we want to see what the defense is. Are they going to present what their look is, and then we're going to call plays accordingly. So I was pleased with what our game plan going into this game in terms of how we played. But, we're not going to play hurry up every single snap. I think the ability we have to change it, I think, is really what makes us a good football team. And our guys understand that. So we'll continue to change it up as we go. And we know we have the ability to use it as a weapon. And when we do use it as a weapon, it's been pretty good. But it's like anything else. I don't think you can always play fast. I don't think you can always play slow. I don't think you can throw it every down. I don't think you can run it every play. I think you got to be kind of balanced, and that's how we kind of use it. But we feel like we got a system in place right now, and our guys have a great grasp of the system that it works for us. And when tempo is needed, we can use it. And when slowing down is needed, we can use that too. So.
All right, guys. Thank you, Coach Kelly.
All right, thanks.